This is probably one of the most brutally vulnerable songs I think I've ever heard. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Molly and in this video I'm going to be reacting to the debut self-titled album from the band Korn. Korn is a band I have heard a lot of things about. I have never heard their music though to the extent of my knowledge, and a lot of you have been recommending that I check their stuff out in the comments of my other videos, so I figured it was about time that I sit down and finally listen to a Korn album, film my reaction to it, and just see what I think of their music. So yeah, let's just get right on into my reaction to their debut 1994 album just called Korn. Alright, so we are starting off with track 1 called Blind. This is an interesting start, kind of industrial sounding. That was a really cool intro. I liked how they built that song up at the start. I really like the rhythm of this song. They keep kind of changing it up a little bit. It keeps you on your toes. Yeah, there's almost like a sort of unpolished sound that this song has. It gives it like this really raw, like I said, almost industrial sound. Yeah, the vocals are staying a little bit more reined in too. Like they're not going super intense in terms of screaming and going all out. Really interesting end to that one too. They kind of changed it up a bit there at the very end of Blind. I was definitely getting some kind of like System of a Down vibes from that one. They were playing up the whole like change up of the rhythm, and they kind of kept you on your toes sonically. They were just throwing a lot at that song. But I am very intrigued so far by this album and kind of where it's gonna go. So I'm just gonna move on to track 2 called Ball Tongue. I'm really liking the playful instrumentation so far on this album. See, these vocals are going a little bit harder. Just give you the right to expect your life. Again, like the first track, they keep kind of changing things up sonically. I don't really know what to expect. See, here we go again. It's like a new part to the song. And then we got all these sound effects too. It's just a very quirky sounding song. These vocals are so fascinating to listen to. They're so fun. That was track 2, Ball Tongue. I really enjoyed just how entertaining they made that with all of the different sounds, the vocalizations that they were doing. So far too, on this self-titled album from Korn, they're keeping it pretty minimalistic in terms of the instrumentals and the sounds. There's not a ton going on, but kind of what they are utilizing, they're just doing a lot of playful, unique sounding things with, and it's making these tracks sound just really fun and, like I said, really quirky almost. Okay, moving on to track 3, we have Need To. I'm not sure if this is a second vocalist or if it's the same vocalist changing up his singing voice, but I kind of like you have like the harsher set of vocals and then they have like this really almost whispered, smooth, more melodic side to the vocals. They keep changing up all of these songs. I just don't know what to expect. Track 3, Need To. That one was really, really interesting to listen to. They changed it up a lot. You kind of get into a rhythm listening to it, and then as soon as you kind of get comfortable with that sound, they just change it up. They kind of keep you on your toes, and it makes for some very entertaining listening, that's for sure. And moving on to track 4, we have Clown. All right, we just have some people talking at the beginning. Ooh, I like that plucky sound in the background. Tell me I'm a pussy and you're hotter than me. What's with you, boy? I love the instrumentals on this track. Again, we have that really seething, simmering quality to this track. It's like something's building up. Come now. I really like this one. I'm just enjoying the sound of it. Track 4, Clown. That for me is a standout on this album so far. Everything about that track I really loved. Not only the tone of it, but the instrumentals just brought such this intensity. And lyrically too, that was kind of an interesting track. For what I was hearing, kind of got into some themes of maybe putting on like a facade or a clown face to act a certain way when you're kind of being inauthentic to yourself. I don't know. That's kind of what I was picking up on. I could be way off, but interesting lyrics for sure. Up next, we have track 5 called Divine. Yeah, I can't tell if there's two singers or if it's the same lead singer and he's just kind of changing up the inflection of his voice. All right, here they go again, kind of changing it up. These tracks just have such a great flow to them. Track 5, Divine. That was just a really fun one to listen to in terms of the rhythm of that track. It had such a great flow to it. The percussion too is really standing out to me. The percussion is amazing. And the vocalist too. I like all of the vocals going on, how they're kind of throwing some more aggression and kind of that really raw, growly sounding vocal on, but they're kind of contrasting it with that whispered, more melodic sounding vocal too. And up next is track 6 called Faget. Again with that percussion. I love it. There's so much simmering angst on this album. It just makes for a really nice tone though. Like I enjoy listening to it. People that think I'm strange, I should be out of here locked up in a cage. You can suck my dick and fucking like it. Yeah, there's a lot of just anger on this album so far. That was track 6, Faget. That one was really anger-filled, as like the best way I can describe it. There's so much just like visceral hatred. They kind of kept it very pulled in and restrained in a weird way, but yet there was so much energy coming at you too. Really interesting dynamics there. All right, up next is track 7 called Chutes and Ladders. I never thought I would hear bagpipes in metal music like this. There's definitely a lot of themes of childhood on this album, and even the album cover, it's like a kid on a playground swing. This track really reminds me of System of a Down's debut album. Track 7, Chutes and Ladders. That one had a lot of aggression to the delivery at points, and then they would just all of a sudden pull it in and make it just very restrained. And then with the nursery rhymes thrown in too, very interesting. Yeah, and then the bagpipes at the beginning, there's a lot going on with that track. And I'm going to move right on to track 8 called Predictable. Yeah, the percussive elements on this album are just really entertaining me. I really enjoy them. Like, see how minimalistic this is? They're not really using a ton of instrumentation, but they're making use of what little they are using to the best of their ability, and they're just utilizing it in so many different ways. It's awesome.
I can never break free. You wait for me.
Now we have that beeping noise. Track 8, Predictable. That one had a fantastic sound to it. It almost sounded like you were soaring through the sky, and then at times it's like you started kind of falling down a little bit. That's what it reminded me of. Just a very like smooth, clean sound to that one. All right, up next is track 9 called Fake.
The sight of you.
They just made it really melodic sounding there for a second, and then they fused it with that aggression. Lyrically, this track is really reminding me of the previous track, Clown. There's kind of some similar themes going on. I am absolutely loving the dynamics going on with this track. That was track 9, Fake. I really enjoyed listening to that one. How intense it was, but then extremely quiet it got. There was a chunk of that song where it was just the vocalist. There were not even any instrumentals. And I'm going to move right on to track 10 called Lies. That was an interesting effect. It was like all of a sudden the music got clearer and louder. That effect is so interesting. Thinking about your life, thinking about your inner fears. Track 10, Lies. I think that is one of the tracks on this album so far that has gone the hardest in terms of the intensity and just kind of going all out on the vocals especially. They took that simmering anger and it kind of came out more in like rage on that track, which was really just fun to listen to. And I'm going to move right on to track 11 called Helmet in the Bush. I'm not sure what that start was. Kind of reminded me of Clown a little bit. Oh yeah. Again with that seething energy. It's like something's building up. This track is weirdly giving me some Tool vibes with its sound. Here they go with the sound effects in the background again. Again, lyrically, there's a lot of dark stuff going on. Track 11, Helmet in the Bush, that is absolutely one of the standouts for me personally on this album, but it had like this really dark, atmospheric quality to its tone. It kind of reminded me of something like maybe Sober by Tool, or even Passenger off of White Pony by Deftones. It just has that kind of dark, like slowly building up sound to it. And then the rhythm that they kept throughout that track was amazing. And I'm really intrigued to see how Korn's debut album is going to end. We have the last track, track 12, called Daddy, and it is over 17 minutes long. I don't really know what to expect. If there's going to be like a hidden track or something, we will have to find out.
All my pain and suffering.
I just had to get out all my pain and suffering. Yeah, that's pretty obvious on this album. The way that lyric "son" was delivered was really heartbreaking, actually.
Little child, your flesh I leave. You wait, I feel daddy, I'm fuck, you're a child. I scream, no one hears me.
I screamed, no one hears me.
Mommy, why?
This track is really putting into perspective the anger I was talking about that was coming out on the rest of the album. It's making it very apparent as to why there was so much hatred and anger on the tracks leading up to this one.
I didn't touch you there.
And it's just like he's falling apart here. He's crying, sobbing. This is probably one of the most brutally vulnerable songs I think I've ever heard. And then it's just like his sobbing in the background, and then these female vocals. Well, damn, that was a heavy song. Probably one of the heaviest I think I've ever heard. That was intense, to say the least. And now we just have dead air, so I don't know if there's a hidden track or not.
Next time I come over, take a look at your exhaust manifold on your...
So we're at the 14:12 second mark, and we've got some talking now.
This causes diaphragm to move slowly when throttle lever is moved away. Spring will...
It's like two people describing an element of an engine or something.
I said, no, Jerry, the heating is the motherfucking spring. Why are you screaming? Because you say, well, you said it's supposed to work out.
It's like two people arguing.
You're a hard woman to live with.
Right here, you have lost your
What are
mind.
you talking about?
You have lost your mind. So there was kind of a little hidden track of sorts there, you could call it, at the end, although it was kind of just two people talking or having an argument over trying to figure out how it sounded like a truck engine worked. And then the main track, track 12, Daddy, I don't even want to start going into that. That's an extremely dark track lyrically. I was weirdly transfixed by it despite how absolutely devastating it was. So that is going to wrap up my reaction to Korn, the debut self-titled album from the band Korn. This album I thought was very painful to listen to, but weirdly entertaining at times too. I think off of this debut album, my favorite tracks upon first listening to it, I actually really liked the first one, Blind. I'd say that was a standout. Also track 4, Clown, kind of had a weird start to it, but then when the more musical aspect of it came in and the instrumentals were introduced, I just really enjoyed that one. And I actually think my favorite track on this whole album was track 11, Helmet in the Bush. That one had such a very clean, streamlined sound to it. And then I definitely don't know if enjoy is the word I would use, but the last track, Daddy, I thought just was a great closer to this album, and you're kind of listening to it and lyrically it clicks all of a sudden as to why the rest of the album was so dark and angsty and anger filled. Just a great album, some heavy themes that it deals with for sure, but I really enjoyed listening to this one, and great introduction to Korn. I can officially say I've heard a Korn album now, and I look forward to diving into the rest of their discography. Anyway, as usual, thank you all so much for watching, stay tuned, and I will see you in the next video.